Good evening, everybody, and welcome into a Friday edition of KC Sports Tonight. I am Mark Poulose, joined by Neal Jones, who I very rarely get the opportunity to talk to on the show. Neal, it's a Friday.
Tilt the camera up. I'm
the
taller
weekend's
than you.
coming
That
in.
doesn't work.
Well, you're taller than me in real life. You're like 15 feet tall. But how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Look at the camera.
There we go. We fixed it.
Okay, you're not wearing lipstick. You just posted a thing. Where did you post that? What?
I think it's on TikTok and
On
Instagram.
TikTok. People need to text me and let me know, or text Mark. Here, I'll give you his phone number so you can text him. It looks like he's wearing lipstick on this TikTok post.
Yeah, we were using, one of the new cameras. It looks a little littler than the typical one. My coloring was a little off, but it doesn't matter. The people got the information that they needed.
Well, I would not want to be on television looking like I'm wearing significant lipstick.
Neal, we are men wearing makeup talking about sports. That's what we got going on today.
No, I wear makeup because one time I was doing it at a rodeo. So I'm like 25 years old and I don't really know how to do makeup.
What
I'm
year
just
was
putting
this?
makeup
1900?
No, this would have been like 1982. So I've got makeup on. I'm putting makeup on, and these cowboys are looking at me. And one of them, I go, look, when you look like me, if I could wear a mask, I would wear it. And they thought that was funny. So then I was fine. They were like, yeah, it's the only time I've ever seen somebody other than a rodeo clown wear makeup or whatever. But so I'm glad to see, because when I saw it on the video, I thought, oh my God, he's wearing makeup, but you're not, so that's good.
There we go. That's the latest from Neal Jones. But we do have some actually pretty serious news to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Here at the start of the show today. The NFL confirmed to KCTV5 that Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice will not be suspended as a result of the personal conduct policy. They did an investigation into the accusations that Rice's ex-girlfriend laid out there earlier in the year, saying that Rashee had abused her. The NFL they did an investigation. They determined that there was, what they told us was there was an insufficient finding for there to determine that he had violated the league's personal conduct policy. Now, Neal, there's kind of been a lot going on with Rashee over the last couple of years. There was this accusation, which he appears to be cleared of, and then also the street racing incident, for which he was sentenced to 5 years of probation and also 30 years in jail. So in light of today's news, what do you make of all this?
Look, he's in a relationship with somebody, or was in a relationship with somebody, and it is what it is. But because of his past actions, which you can't question, because there's evidence that he was road racing, right? Because of that, he is going to be on a knife edge, because one more event and it could be a full season that you lose the guy. He was hurt his knee. Then he missed the first 6 games last year because of the road racing situation, his suspension because of the NFL. Another one, and you're looking at maybe a full year. Depends on the severity, and it depends on what kind of problem he gets into. So he needs to be on the straight and narrow. And I don't know that you could invest in him if the Chiefs moving forward for a longer term deal. Forget what kind of player he is, which he could be a very good player at times. I just think the situation hanging over his head anytime there's any kind of a problem would make me be very careful in wanting to sign him to a long-term deal because of that.
Yeah, certainly it's an interesting situation there. So I think a little bit of what Neal's alluding to.
Well, it's scary. It's not interesting. It's kind of frightening, because I'm with you. We were sitting here, and when we first heard the allegations made by the attorneys representing his ex-girlfriend, it's frightening, because you're like, well, is this it? I mean, his contract could run out with him at the end. He could lose an entire season, and boy, that would be a mess for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the way things work in this world, hey, you're the one that went to law school. You're innocent until proven guilty. But what is interesting, was I was going to say about the situation, is that since Rashee had already violated the league's personal conduct policy, if he's found to be in violation of that again, as you were kind of saying there, the penalty would be much more severe. Now,
at least in theory, it's very difficult to predict. I think you would agree. It's difficult to predict what the NFL is going to do, because sometimes I thought this was going to be really serious, and he gets 4 games. And then somebody else gets 8 games, and you're like, I didn't know it was that bad. So I just think it's frightening to put it in the NFL's hands. And you hope that a young man like Rashee Rice can avoid the problems, that he had down in Dallas with the road racing.
Yeah, well, I think also a situation that is interesting here is there are no criminal charges. He's being sued in civil court by his ex-girlfriend. I think that's something that absolutely needs to be said, is that there is no criminal charge here as of right now. That could maybe possibly change in the future. I don't know. I have no information on this story, but what's going on right now in the legal system is a civil lawsuit against Rashee. Now, the Chiefs' offseason program is set to begin on Monday, April 20th. It looks like Rashee's going to be there. Now, that first phase of the offseason is just meetings, strength and conditioning, and then OTAs are going to begin there in late May. So, Neal, you looking forward to that?
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting offseason for us for the simple reason that the World Cup's going to be going on. So I'm not sure that some of the things we cover breathlessly, oh my gosh, we've got to be out there, because traditionally the Royals haven't been that great over the last 5 or 6, 7 years, really since the World Series years. They had the one playoff 2 years ago. The Royals made the playoffs. But because the Royals haven't been a huge story in Kansas City, we've really focused on the Chiefs. And I'm curious to see how that is affected by what goes on with the World Cup. If there are 100,000 people in town for the World Cup, and we know the Team USA won't be any good. By the way, I was told I could not make fun of Team USA by our news director. He said, well, Neal, don't pick a fight with Team USA. We're rooting for America. And I agree. So I did not on selection day when they had they showed where where the teams are going to be going and all the matches and all that stuff. I did not say what I believe, which is the men's national team for the United States they're the Cleveland Browns. Whatever they do is wrong. They are awful. I had to go cover one of their matches 2 falls ago, and Mark, it was like they weren't even trying. They got killed by Canada here in Kansas City.
Yeah, Sporting Park, I remember
it was like 2-0, and I don't know, it felt like 2 minutes. That it wasn't 2 minutes in. And while I know they were trying, it looked like they weren't. They were so bad that it looked like they weren't trying. So I can't get excited about Team USA. That does not mean it's hard to find who else to root for, but I suspect I'm going to find some teams that are based in Kansas City, and I'm going to start rooting for them for the simple reason that we are inundated by Argentinians or the Brits or whoever it is. I think it's going to be exciting to see. But I think that's going to affect how we look at OTAs. The OTA workouts, as you know, we're not allowed to shoot very much. In the old days, we could shoot everything, and it was really, truly exciting because you could see the quarterbacks working against the defense. You could shoot that and shoot this. Now we're so limited that you really don't get an idea what's going on. I'm dying to see the quarterback position for the Chiefs while Patrick Mahomes is rehabbing because, Justin Fields is a real guy. Justin Fields is not some guy who we heard of vaguely. He was Division III, and he was awfully good, and he looked good at the Senior Bowl or something. Justin Fields was a first-round pick. Justin Fields was going to be the guy in Chicago. Then he was going to be the guy in Washington. I can't wait to see him. And I can't wait to see what Andy Reid does with him. So I am excited about seeing that. But because we can shoot so little, I'm thinking that maybe it might not be as big a story this year simply because we're going to have so much football going on, soccer going on.
Well, we also saw Patrick Mahomes out there at the Royals game for the Royals home opener. Hopefully we'll be able to see him.
Did you see him?
A little bit. I saw him on TV.
I didn't see him in person. I didn't see him in person. It used to be that we could be out in the photo bay and you could actually shoot stuff like that. We can't do that anymore. Major League Baseball basically says we can't shoot anything in the ballpark during the games. So that's too bad. I used to go up and walk around and just shoot wide shots of the stadium and get tight shots of the batters and then zoom out if they hit the ball and show the fans and do all this stuff. It was fun walking around. Can't do that anymore.
I saw him on Royals on KCTV5. We have 9 more games coming up on our air for free, no subscription required.
And what are we? We're 1-0. When the Royals are on Channel 5, right. They're 1-0.
They play all 162 on KCTV5. It could be scary hours for the rest of Major League
Yankees.
Baseball.
It's 1927 Yankees if they play every game.
There we go. Murderers Row. But there's a lot more going on in the world of sports right now.
And there is a Murderers Row. News. It's 7, 8, 9 hitters.
It is
for the Royals.
For the Royals. You're correct.
But they do have a Murderers Row.
But this weekend, the Final Four is going on out at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. We have a huge local connection with the Illinois Fighting Illini. They are taking on the UConn Huskies, who won the national titles in both 2023 and 2024.
I hate UConn.
Yeah, they got an interesting head coach. But, Neal, two great
I don't mind
connections.
him. He's feisty. He's a pain in the neck. He's terrible. But if he coached our team, we'd be thrilled because the guy wins big time. I just don't like UConn. I mean, is that okay?
That absolutely is okay. One thing I do like, though, Dan Hurley, I'm obviously not a KU fan, didn't go to the University of Kansas. He brought the UConn Huskies to Allen Fieldhouse 2 times and has beaten them 2 times in the last couple of years. That's an incredible basketball coach. But, Neal, looking at the Illinois side, 2 great local connections, Keaton Wagler out of Shawnee Mission Northwest, and then Brad Underwood, a K-State grad, and also McPherson, Kansas native. Neal, I know you went out and talked to some players and the coaches at Shawnee Mission Northwest. Kind of what's your feel? How excited are they for what Keaton is doing, first at Shawnee and then obviously now on the national stage?
First of all, they were thrilled that I came out and not you the first time, because I'd covered them a little bit and actually been out there and had done stories on David Birch, their head coach, who was the losingest coach in the history of Kansas City, in that he played for the who? Washington Generals against the Globetrotters. And it's interesting. Coach Birch had a hand, along with, obviously, Coach Fritz, Ed Fritz, who was the head coach at Blue Valley Northwest. Ed Fritz brought in David Birch to be an assistant coach for him, and they worked very, very closely with who?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Christian Brown.
CD.
So as a result, David Birch gets invited up to go to Denver games, and I asked him one time, or I sent him a thing on Facebook, hey, I bet you had the best seats in the house. He goes, you know what? They've been really nice to me. The Browns have given me tickets. I have not had to pay for a ticket to see the Denver Nuggets playing since Christian went up there. So he gets to go up there and see that. But now he's also got Keaton Wagler, who you assume is going to be in the NBA next year. Everybody says he's going to be a lottery pick.
Coach Birch is actually at the Final Four. He told me he goes to the Final Four every year, so he's there.
I talked to him today. Again, he was thrilled it was me calling him and not you. But he is there, and I said, send me some pictures, text me some pictures, and we'll put it on KCTV5.com, as long as you also text a disclaimer saying that we can use the photos and that you own the photos, and that we can expressly use it on KCTV5 and KCTV5.com. If he does that, we're going to put it on there. Coach Birch, he coached my daughter as a shooting coach. He is a great guy, great coach. They have a great program going. And it was fun talking to all those guys. We're going to have a story, I'm sure, coming up later tonight. You're anchoring. Are you going to run one of my stories?
Yeah, we are. And we also have some sound from Brad Underwood that's running at 6 o'clock, talking about how, well, you're going to have to wait and hear, coming up at 6:20 in sports.
It ran already at 5. Sorry, I hate to do that to you, but I stole some of that audio with him talking about what it means for him. Look, Coach Underwood was one of the assistants coach brought in by Huggins. Bob Huggins brought him in, and so when Huggins left and Frank Martin took over, he was like one of the right-hand men for Frank Martin. And at that time, when we were doing our in the paint stuff and we would be on the road with K-State, I could get Coach Martin, or I'd get one of his assistants to come on live with us. And Brad Underwood went live with us many, many times over the years. Really, really great guy. When he became a big-time coach at Illinois, I wondered if he would still be the same. He is. When he sees me or when I see him, he's still the very same guy. Comes over and shakes my hand and talks to me. And you have to wonder, because it's one thing to be an assistant coach. It's another thing to be a head coach. And he's one of those guys that has not changed. He's still the same person. He's a great guy. And that's one reason why he got on Keaton Wagler when nobody else did. He believed in him, gave him an opportunity. He started him at shooting guard, moved him to a point guard. From that moment on, Illinois has been a different team. So, yeah, I've never rooted against Illinois, but I've never been a big Illinois fan, but I am now. When Bill Self was there, I rooted for him, but I am now. And actually, I didn't mind him when there have been a couple of coaches who were up there I liked. So as a result, I am rooting for them. I hope they win the national championship. I just hope it's not UConn. Arizona wins, I wouldn't be sad about that because they're a Big 12 team, but Illinois is the team I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I think if there are some local basketball fans maybe out there looking for a rooting interest, obviously, just you heard, there's a lot of local connections there with that Illinois basketball team with Coach Underwood and obviously Keaton Wagler. And
I think they got another guy going, another Kansas City area kid going there next year, right?
I'm not sure. I did not know that, but shout out to them if that is the case. And another reason to cheer them on. Now, on the other side of this bracket, we have 1 seed Arizona taking on 1 seed Michigan today. Arizona head coach Tommy Lloyd announced that he is going to stay at Arizona. Now, Neal, this is a guy that was probably maybe the darling of the coaching cycle. I think every team that potentially had an opening or every team that did have an opening wanted to hire Tommy Lloyd. What do you think about him staying at Arizona and maybe taking less than he could have made out of North Carolina or another top program?
Well, gosh, who would want to go to North Carolina? That's a place where if you don't win a national championship in 3 years, you're 4, no matter what, you are on the hot seat. It doesn't matter. I think that they are like a big-time program that has an inflated view of themselves, and inflated for a reason. You have great expectations, and I just don't think that's a job I would want to get around. I mean, Arizona. The stories are that he's not getting along with his athletics director, who used to be at the University of Missouri. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the rumors that people heard, and that's one reason why they believe that he might be open to leaving Arizona. But the fact is, it looks like he's going to stay. Although, look, Mark, we see people sign extensions, and then 3 weeks later they take a job. So I love the way they play. They get a lot of really talented bigs. They spread the floor. They shoot threes. They're an exciting team. They play fast tempo. They're not afraid of anybody. The thing that jumps out at me about him, though, is he's the guy who at the Big 12 tournament said, when we came into this league, I told our administration, I told our athletics director, our president, told everybody, we're going to have to elevate our game to match another program there. And the shocker was that it wasn't the University of Kansas he was talking about. It was Houston with Kelvin Sampson. And he talked about the fact that for us to be able to compete with the best team in the league, which in his mind at that point was Houston, then we're going to have to elevate our game. And this year they were able to beat Houston in the Big 12 championship game. And so they won the regular season title. So Arizona is the big dog for this season. Let me ask you this, Mark. We now know that Bill Self's coming back. We know that he has an unbelievable recruiting class coming in next year. What do you think? Do you believe that Kansas is the team to beat next year, or do you believe that, okay, based on what Kelvin Sampson has done, 7 straight trips to the Sweet 16, got beat in the regional final this year, fell flat. I mean, got beat pretty bad, or the semifinal.
In Houston.
In the first game in Houston. Do you believe that is Kansas the team to beat? Obviously, Arizona will be coming in off a trip to the Final Four, maybe even a national championship. Who's the team to beat next year? And maybe more interesting, who's the second best team in the Big 12 going into next season?
No, I'm not sure how those Houston and Arizona are going to be coming into next season, but I feel like the Kansas Jayhawks, they cannot feel like they are the top dog in the conference. Just the way that things have gone ever since they won the national title in 2022. Right. Obviously, yes, Bill Self is coming back. Is he one of the best coaches to ever coach college basketball? Yes. Do they have great players coming in? Yes. This year they had the number 1 player in the country coming in, Darren Peterson, and this might have been one of the most disjointed teams of the entire Bill Self era. They were a team that was never able to get it together. They were a team that never really found their rhythm outside of maybe a 9 or 10 game stretch in January to February or whenever that was. I mean, I think if you're the Kansas Jayhawks, it's kind of like a little bit like what you're saying about North Carolina. You're a program that has prestigious history. You're a program that can say a lot of good things about yourself. But in the era of modern college basketball, you can say that other programs have potentially passed you by. Think about Houston, think about Arizona. Neal, what are your kind of thoughts on the current state of the college men's game?
Well, I think it's a mess, but it's that way because of judges' rulings, not because of anything that the NCAA did. Really, it's about what the NCAA did not do for the run-up. They didn't take care of the players, and they dug their heels in and said, we're not changing anything, and then a judge changed it for them. I actually think that maybe it might be better for Kansas to be flying a little bit under the radar. For 2 straight years, they had been preseason number 1. So that everybody, they had a target
on the back.
And they weren't, for whatever reason, the first year Hunter Dickinson came in, they didn't ever really gel. They had some problems with injuries right going into the tournament. I think had they not lost McCullers, I believe that would have been a deep tournament run. But he was their best defender. He was an offensive wing player that was really a big thing for them.
He's a good player, absolutely.
And so they run into Gonzaga without him. They just look short-handed, and they get run. The year that Bill Self got sick, and we were up in Des Moines, and they got beat in the second round by Arkansas. I think had Bill Self been able to coach, I think that might have been a deep tournament run. That team was a pretty good team. But without the coach, they get beat by Arkansas in a really close game. So that was tough. Last year, or this last year, here they come in. They're not preseason number 1, but they have the number 1 recruit. And to hear all these people, it's one thing to hear the local people talking about how great Darren Peterson was, a lot of Kansas fans looked at him and, oh, he's the best. He's the best. When you start hearing that from national people, Duke people, ACC people, Big Ten people,
NBA people,
then you begin to hear, well, NBA people, they're going to stroke the guys. But when you start to hear from Jay Billis and people like that, that this guy, watching him, he is by far the best offensive player in college basketball, and you start to see all this stuff, I think it made it harder for Coach Self. I think they were trying to get him involved, and as you said, they never really meshed the second semester very much. He could be really good at times, but I did not think that he made the players around him better. That's something that Wagler has done at Illinois. He's been an offensive he's the quarterback. He runs the point for Illinois, but he also has the ability to create his own shot. But he also has the ability to draw the defense and distribute the basketball. You know what I mean? So I thought that he was a more effective player this year than Peterson, although there's no question that the NBA sees Peterson as a better player. So maybe next season, you got Bill Self coming back. They're not going to be beholden to the number one overall recruit in the country necessarily. They've got a really good point guard coming in. Maybe that's the year they might shock some people in a good way instead of shocking them in a bad way. I think that next year, Kansas, maybe then they will be poised to really do some damage. I'm so glad he's come back. I hope that they're a better team. It's just been weird not having them make a deep run the last 3 years. It's hard for us in the media. Obviously, I root for all the local teams, and it's a real disappointment for the KU fans, so I'm excited about that. But look, there is no easy fix for what is hurting college basketball. It's going to take probably some sort of a deal with the players. You're going to have some sort of I don't know if it's a players association or what it's going to be. I don't know if you have to make them employees. Nobody seems to want that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, without a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement, you're not going to be able to have any kind of rules. You're going to have to – it's not – I don't think –
I think I saw – was it yesterday? Tommy Tuberville, obviously a longtime college football coach, or maybe – I think it was him that he said, like, he's maybe institute – they can play for 5 years and they can have a one-time free transfer, and after that you have to sit out a year.
But the problem with that is the judges have ruled that you can't do that. You cannot
they're not employees.
impose
you can't restrict them.
rules like that on players. And Tommy Tuberville, give me a break. He was a failed coach. So let's go to the Senate.
I think it could maybe make it's an entertainment product, but there are a lot of situations that the NCAA created themselves because they didn't want to make employees. They didn't want to have it be pay for play. They wanted it to be NIL. Obviously, it's created a huge mess, and we'll see if KU can kind of solve their way out of this. Now, we have about 7 more minutes and 2 more topics, so we got to kind of move on here. Neal, I wanted to ask you this question because yesterday there was kind of a big snafu. It made big-time national headlines relating to the Royals, and our local Park Hill star, Carter Jensen, slept through his alarm late to the game, scratched from the lineup. Neal, my question for you, how many alarms do you set in the morning, or do you just wake up at 4:30?
That's why they invented interns. Interns call me every single morning and let me, Mr. Jones, time to wake up. You've got to shoot. I'm trying to think the last time I overslept. I'm going to tell you.
When was the last time you were late to work? Because, I mean, I think we all joke about this, but it's pretty serious. Like, he's a major league ball player being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and just didn't show up on time. That's a big deal.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story. Remember do you remember the 2003 national championship game, Syracuse and Kansas? Or were you? How old were you?
I was 11 years old.
All right. That morning, we were working crazy long hours. It's the end of the week. We were in New Orleans.
Michael Lee had an unbelievable game.
Yes, he did.
Yes, I remember.
And so did Graves. Jeff Graves had a really big game rebounding, the kid from Lee Summit. So I'm working with a guy named Bill Lindsay, a photographer who's now retired, but he still works out at Kauffman and Arrowhead Stadium as a photographer. And Bill and I were paired together. I'm asleep. I was up real late working the night before, and then the next day I am asleep, and the phone rings, and Bill's downstairs, and he goes, "Hey Neal, I'm down here. We're ready to go. We got to get over for the noon show." And I had slept through my alarm, and I had an alarm clock there, and I had slept through it. And so I
remember at the Super Bowl down in New Orleans, you had your wife bring you an alarm clock because you didn't want a wake-up call. You didn't want to rely on your cell phone. You wanted a physical alarm clock.
So now I have a cell phone and an alarm clock, but the point is this. I had to just try to put some stuff on my hair. I didn't wash my hair. I shaved, like dry shaved real quick, And then I went down and I worked until like 3 a.m. This is like at 10 a.m. And I had to work until like 3 a.m. the next day because the championship game was that night. We had to do post game. We had to do live shots. Then I had to edit stuff for the next day. I got back, and I mean, I never felt, it's one of those things where you don't feel right. I didn't feel right because I had thrown a suit on and went, and I never felt right all day. It was horrible. And every time I've been to the Super Bowl or any major event, when we're on the road, I now have like my cell phone and an alarm clock and a wake-up call from the hotel because that was so horrifying. And I never told anybody, but I was like, God, I just didn't feel right. And my hair doesn't look good anyway, but it looked especially horrible, and you're on the air all night that night. You know how it is after those big games. And it was, so I'll do anything to make sure I'm not late,
Yeah, tough situation there for Carter Jensen. Good to hear some of the things that came out of the locker room last night. Vinny Pasquantino really
clubhouse.
Yeah, the clubhouse. You're right for baseball. Royals, though, this weekend, 3-game set against the Brewers. The Royals 3-3. Milwaukee at 5-1. We got a little bit of time. Neal, I got to dip out early because I got to go down for a hit in the A block of the 6 p.m.
What are you doing?
It's on Rashee Rice, but we got to talk about this one here coming up. Casey Current lost 3 matches in a row, but good news for the team today. They took Timwa Chawinga off the season-ending injury list. Now, Neal, new coach this year for the Casey Current, but it's really been a struggle here early on. Will adding Chawinga make a difference?
She's the best player in the league if she's healthy. I mean, I assume she's okay, and she is the most explosive player. She
two-time MVP, 2-time Golden Boot winner. But the problem with the Current this year has been the defense, not the offense, I would say.
Yeah, but having the best player, it allows them to do some things. It forces other sides to be more cognizant of the Current's ability to attack. She's unbelievable on the attack. She creates opportunities for herself and for her teammates. No, this is a massive thing. That's like saying, guys, Neal, do you think it'll be different when they get Patrick Mahomes back from his knee? Yeah, it'll make a difference. When the best player in the league gets back from injury, if they're able to play, it makes a big difference.
No, I don't think
it's like, would it make a difference if Marlia Campbell was here instead of you or me? Yes, it would make a difference because she's a sports director. It would be better than having just us.
He's the great Neal Jones. A lot of opinions coming out.
And you're going to dip out early, huh? You're just going to leave?
Dip out early. We're going to get down to the 6 p.m. news. But one thing you do need to know, the KC Current taking on the team they're playing tomorrow, right here on KCTV5.
Big news. Katie's coming in to cover it, so she's excited. She's going to be down there doing big-time coverage.
All right, guys, that's Look at Sports here on this Friday night.
So what are the people who are dialing in right now, because this thing's supposed to be on until 6? What do we tell them?
We tell them tune in to 6 p.m. news, and we'll see you there. All right, guys, take care.